you are and how you came to be involved in all this.
Okay, sure. Hi, my name is Stephen Fairchild. I'm an attorney in New York City, and I represent all the women who are in the lawsuit right now. I came into this whole thing in late 2017, right after my daughter was born. It was just, I was sitting at home, kind of taking a few weeks of being a dad, and I got, I got in contact with a woman, and she had this incredible story. She was a model, and the model, or the photographer for the model, um, took advantage of her in very disturbing ways. So she was my first client, first involvement in all this, and then, we put together a complaint, and we tried to serve it. This is in mid 2018 now, and we couldn't find a guy. And in New York, you have 120 days to serve a complaint, and that deadline lapsed. We couldn't find him, and that was very disappointing. It was very disheartening.
So, why initially did you think that you could not find him?
Well, if you Google his name, nothing comes up. Nothing at all. If you look on white pages, if you look on, everybody can be found. It's just this thing that you can Google most people or put them on white pages. You'll get some sort of address. We couldn't find any sort of address for this guy. Plus, for his contract with Amber, he used a company that was no longer in business. The contract was with a company that had lost its standing with New York State corporations.
So you're saying that that particular company, by the time he drafted up a contract, no longer existed?
Yes, it no longer existed.
So why do you believe that I'm sure there's systems in the state of New York through civil courts to find an individual's address. Can you talk about your attempt to find him through the courts?
In New York courts, you can serve a company. He's using a company, and you can actually serve the New York State and Albany, for the company. But because the company no longer exists, we couldn't really do that. And in terms of tracking down his residential address, there was no luck in that. So we had no idea where he was. We couldn't find him, so we couldn't serve him. Well, we tried to use process servers, professional people who track these people down and stuff, but they couldn't find him either. And the only address that Mr. St. Surin provided was a P.O. box, and you can't serve a P.O. box. You have to serve the person's actual residence, their office, something else. But you can't serve a P.O. box to start a lawsuit. We filed the complaint in June of 2018, and we had four months, and we couldn't find him in all that time. Months just went past, and Google searches didn't work. Searches on whitepages.com didn't work. We had no leads. There was nothing we could do, and we weren't even sure if he was still here in New York. He could have moved off to California, for all we knew. So, Mr. St. Surin, to convince young women, aspiring models, that he is a bona fide photographer, he can help their careers, he sends everybody a portfolio, and the portfolio has a lot of pictures that weren't taken by him, or so we believe. So the research by Mr. Ansel Carpenter proves that a lot of these pictures weren't even taken by him. And I believe that 19 pictures have some sort of public availability on the internet, and a number of them are actually of celebrities, including Anna Lynn McCord and one of the Kardashian girls as well.
Kylie
Jenner. These are celebrities, and a lot of the other pictures, you can download them from somewhere. They have evidence where you can find them, but they are beautiful pictures, I have to admit. And when he puts them together in a portfolio, it gives the impression that he took all these pictures, but he did not. and that convinces young women that this man is a good photographer, that he could take similar pictures of similar quality of them as well. But it's all a big charade. It's all fraud. These aren't. None of these belong to him. And as to whether or not he could take similar quality pictures, I have no idea. It doesn't matter. But if you're going around accrediting other people's work as your own, that's in the context of, the whole sexual misconduct aspect of all this. This is bad. I'm sorry, it's really bad. Part of his charade, his scheme, his plan is to tell people that this is going into the Museum of Sex. At least that's what he was in 2017. Obviously, I think he's been doing this for 10 years, so his plans and schemes have changed over time. But when I first met Amber, her story was that she believed her pictures were going to the Museum of Sex. And the emails and the portfolio, or the casting call, that's what he called it, the casting call, confirmed that's what he said they were going towards. And for us, we can find out the Museum of Sex has no knowledge about any of this. They were not trying to contact him. They were not doing any sort of exhibition that matched what he was talking about. And it all appears to be one giant lie. And the emails, the correspondence between back and forth with him, he was talking about getting a sponsorship from the National Endowment of Arts, that we could never confirm that, and that appears to all just be another lie as well. Right now we had 4 girls who filed anonymously, and we're looking to expand to at least another one, so that'll be 5. But it'll be 5. At this point, there's just 5, and this is the last day of February 2020. Given what's happening, the media attention, we expect that there will be a lot more girls to come. So in November 2018, so it's been about a year since I first contacted her, or she contacted me. The case had just wind down. We had nothing to do for months. We couldn't find this guy, and I know the deadline for service had lapsed. And we were disappointed. I thought this case would just go away. And a little before Thanksgiving 2018, I got a surprise email from Mr. Carpenter about that he is also tracking this man down. And he has a team of people already who were the women that he's found. And I was very glad to see that, because now it wasn't just between me and Amber to do everything, which we were sort of out of our league in terms of finding this guy, because he knows how to hide. But with other people involved, with more resources, with more skills, more talents, and more stories, and it was great that we were able to combine teams and move forward. So everybody here has, and the girls are helping too. So I think with our big team that we have a lot of different skills, and people are good at different things, and we've created a great, a team to kind of move forward and bring this man to justice. Throughout this whole time, on many occasions, the police have contacted us, we've contacted them, or even the FBI, with some sort of interest about this case, and it's always been very frustrating. And also the Department of Labor of New York City, that essentially Mr. St. Surin, he is their employer of all these women. He pays these women, gives them money to take pictures, so now he's their boss. And under no rule in the United States are you allowed to expect sexual favors from your employees. This hasn't happened, and you just don't do that. So we've reached out to the authorities, and it's been very frustrating. I remember sitting in the FBI's office about a year ago for about an hour, and talking, on other occasions talking to the police, And every time that they just said, well, it's not forcible rape, so we can't arrest this guy. And the Department of Labor, they gave us other different turnarounds. I think they just, the Attorney General just decided not to prosecute this. Without explanation, I was just kind of confused. But it was the common experience we got from all the governments, the government agencies and stuff, that they just didn't want to get involved. And the main reason, at least from the criminal aspect, was it wasn't forcible rape. Now, I've been doing this for a while. I've talked to many girls, including ones that aren't even my clients. And there is some sort of psychological trauma that comes to these people. And in fact, that they don't want to be shamed. They're afraid of talking to me. They're afraid of talking to their parents. It's a very common problem. And this isn't normal. This isn't like talking about, it's something abnormal. Like, there isn't a word that we have. It's not forcible rape, but it's something else. From what I've heard from women, all these victims, I think he just does it because he can get away with it. That he just likes it. This story is finally catching a bit of publicity in the media. We were talked about in the New York Post about 3 weeks ago. I was reached out to by the New York Times just yesterday. That I believe more and more women will come out of hiding, and more news and media will sort of garner around this story, and both of those will sort of feed on each other. And as far as we know, this man could have hurt 100, 200, 300 women. I really don't know. And the more women that come out, the more stories are told, the more media attention this gets, which is, it's on that trajectory. It will get more. That this case could swell into a very large class action lawsuit against Mr. Surin. And with that many people against one man, I've told this to all of our girls, I've told this to reporters, that we don't expect to get money, a whole lot of money from this guy. That certainly the more people that sue him, that's more cuts of the pie, so to speak, and the less money that each individual would get. So come out of hiding and pursue justice for justice's sake, to tell your story, to let this guy know that, what you did was wrong. Those are the things that we're looking for with all these lawsuits. And given this stake, hundreds of women, and what I've already seen, that the women that have sort of joined together, they spent years in hiding and thinking about this and being punished by this man. When they come forward and just join the team, even if they don't join the lawsuit, they find healing, they find camaraderie, they find perspective. It's actually kind of very beautiful to see. Like, I've been doing this for a while, and the stories that have happened go back a long time. And when these people come together and find similar, they find women and who've had similar experiences, there's sort of a sisterhood, and that sisterhood is healing these people. And what I would suggest to, I know, whoever will see this at whenever time, that to reach out and tell your story, to stop suffering in silence. But there are people, who have similar experiences, and by talking to them, they find a bond and healing. And even if we get no money out of this, that there is a reward by coming forward. He used other people's pictures in his portfolio. Annalyn McCord and Kylie Jenner, they could sue him for misappropriation of their intellectual property and stuff. That he's using their work claiming that it's his own for this weird, bizarre scheme of his, that they could, in fact, sue him for misappropriation. Would they do that? Would they bother with this guy? I don't know, but at the very least, it might be worthwhile for them to get to sue him for an injunction of stop doing this, and also to watch out for other people who are similar to St. Surin, who might be using their own work to, using the work of celebrities and claiming it as their own. And I think that sort of issue might affect a lot of other celebrities out there. So so it definitely is it should be a wake up call to anybody who's a public person to watch out for where their work lands and stuff. But also for the Museum of Sex, they've been very cooperative, as far as I understand, with the New York Post. I believe that the New York Post reached out to them and they couldn't confirm his story. And they could actually sue him for defamation as well. That defamation is kind of a low hurdle in a lot of ways. That if you lie to a third party about something, then that's defamation. And if he's lying to these other women, aspiring models, about the Museum of Sex, the Museum of Sex has a defamation suit against St. Surin as well.